Dear friends, I'm very happy to see you today, and I am very happy to welcome you to our online event dedicated to life in the beautiful island of Cyprus. Thank you for finding time to join us. And I'm also very happy to say that now we can see more and more people who are joining us again and again, which shows us that the information that we're giving is useful. So, once again, very grateful and thank you for joining me. So, for those of you who tried to join last week, I would like to apologize for our technical difficulties. But now I'm back in Cyprus, so all the systems are working, all the systems are fully functioning. So we will start now, and as always, I will try to be very respectful to your time. So we plan to finish everything within 1 hour, and during this 1 hour, I will be able to present all the information, and also I promise to give enough time for your questions and answers. So let's start. So today we will be talking to you about possibility of relocation to Cyprus through property investment. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anastasia Yianni, and I'm the CEO and partner of Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty. I've been living in Cyprus for the last 22 years. I love the island. I have my family, I have my parents, I have my children. So I know Cyprus not only from the professional, but also very much from the personal point of view. And as today we will be talking about relocation and your physical movement to Cyprus, I think this part is very important. I've been working for more than 20 years in Cyprus real estate market, and as a person, I love properties. Properties is something that I know, I understand, and will be happy to share my knowledge with you. Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty is part of Sotheby's International Realty Network, which is probably the largest international luxury real estate brokerage in the world, present in 81 countries. I always like to mention it during our webinars because I understand that when you are looking for various options, Cyprus is not the only country that you consider. When you're talking about moving somewhere else, there is the whole world in front of you. So it is very important to understand pluses and minuses of different destinations, to understand what other countries can offer you. And sometimes we have a chance to advise our potential investors that maybe they should look at some other countries because maybe sometimes your needs and desires would be better suited for different destinations. In Cyprus, we are a company which can offer you properties all over Cyprus. We work with developers, we work with private sellers, we have our own listings as well as new projects from developers. What is very important that we are a team of many nationalities. So we will be able to offer our service in many languages. We're fully licensed, which is very important point in Cyprus. And most important, I think every person in the company is truly passionate about Cyprus and truly passionate about helping our prospective clients to make their life better. And I honestly believe that Cyprus can bring lots of happiness to you. So today, during the webinar, we will talk about what Cyprus can offer to you and your family. We understand very well that this year is very dramatic. There are so many changes, so many uncertainties, so many horrible things happening. So, of course, lots of people are considering what would be the best, what would be in the best interest of the family. We will talk a little bit about taxes. We'll talk about getting residence permits. We will talk about the steps of purchasing a home in Cyprus and at different reasons why you would consider moving to Cyprus right now. I always like to have interaction during our webinar, so please have in mind that anytime during my presentation, you can write your questions and I will either answer to the questions while I'm presenting, or we'll leave enough time at the end of the webinar to try to answer as many questions as possible. So, let's start. So, as I mentioned before, this year is very difficult from many points of view. And when we look at the news or when we read newspapers, majority of stories would try to scare us, and they would always talk about the winter coming, about the costs of energy bills, about possibility to have rationing, about again what is happening with the new viruses, what is happening, the new health scares. So in most cases, we are surrounded with quite negative expectations. And of course, this makes us all worried. By location, by nature, Cyprus already can make lots of these scary things a little bit easier. Of course, I'm not saying that Cyprus is a paradise without any issues or without any problems. Of course, inflation is here, present as well. Of course, the cost of energy is becoming higher and higher. But just simply by the fact that in Cyprus we have 340 sunny days per year, just the fact that now it's still 29 degrees plus. So just this fact already makes the cost of heating, the cost of electricity and the cost of energy a little bit less. When I talk to my friends from Germany, from the UK, the stories that they're telling me, the bills that they start receiving or the expectations, they're quite huge. To be completely honest, in Cyprus, we do expect increase, but not that much. So if we look at what Cyprus can offer as a destination, as I mentioned earlier, the first and foremost, and of course, is environment, is climate, is the lifestyle that we have here. As I mentioned before, Cyprus is a very sunny destination and it does offer lots of great temperature all year round. In Cyprus, we have no heavy production industries. So this means that general ecological situation is very, very good. Every year, Cyprus is voted as the place with cleanest beaches in Europe, with the best quality of sea around in the Mediterranean. What is very important as well, that Cyprus culture is very hospitable. You know, when you're moving or when you're considering moving to a different country, it is important. How will you feel? Will you, your children, your parents, would you feel welcome? And being a foreigner myself, I can definitely tell you that you feel like you're at home, just in a slightly better environment. Cyprus can offer excellent healthcare facilities, and we will talk about it a little bit more. In my presentation today, I will talk less about the business side of things in Cyprus. I will talk more about lifestyle, about family life, about schools, about medicines. Location-wise, even though it's an island, it offers very good connectivity either to Europe or to Asia. Cyprus is located at the crossroads of three continents. So even though it is an island and you cannot drive anywhere, you can fly anywhere. So you will never be too far from your remaining family or from your country. What is very important to mention is the transparency, or maybe I would better use the word, the clarity. You can understand everything that is happening. The law system is based on British law. Even the sales contract would be done in two languages or just in English. So you can clearly understand what is happening. English language widely spoken, and not only English. Now there is variety of cultures settling in Cyprus, so you can be comfortable speaking your own language. And speaking of that, it would be very interesting to find out where are you from. So if you type in the chat which country you are currently located, maybe during my presentation I will be able to talk a little bit more about your country and why the people from your country consider moving to Cyprus. I already can see UK, Germany, very interesting. Just recently, we made a very interesting survey with Cyprus developers, and we were trying to understand from which countries we have most interest. And what was amazing to see that actually the interest comes from, we identified more than 30 countries that are interested in Cyprus. I can see Serbia. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so if we move more to the advantages of Cyprus, then of course it's important to understand that we in Cyprus have modern banking and legal systems. Banking sector is quite strict, but still you understand what is happening. If you're moving with a family, education becomes of paramount importance. Because of course, being a parent myself, I understand very well how important it is to provide good education to your children. Cyprus is a very safe country. There have been so many researches and surveys, and again, every year, Cyprus comes very high from the point of personal and business safety. Cyprus offers extremely advantageous tax systems, and even though I'm not tax advisor, I will touch on this point a little bit so you will have a clear understanding. In spite of the fact that Cyprus is quite a small island, the heritage of Cyprus is very rich. Just going from one area to another, you are like in a time machine. You will see different monuments, different cultures, and it's never boring. Modern infrastructure is of very high quality. And as I mentioned, I've been living in Cyprus for the last 22 years, so I can see yearly improvements. And of course, Cyprus offers lots of lifestyle opportunities for you and your families. Let's start when we go a little bit deeper. Let's talk a little bit about healthcare. And I was myself very pleasantly surprised when we found this information that actually Cyprus is number 26 in the world ranking of the healthcare system. In our country, you can find variety of English-speaking professionals. Most of them would receive their training either in EU, UK, South Africa, or United States, you have two options depending on your status when you're in Cyprus. Either you can visit private doctors, and you can see that the cost of visit to a private doctor is between 30 to 50 euros, varying of the nature of the specialist, etc. Recently, just a couple of years ago, Cyprus introduced national health insurance scheme. And even though lots of people were a bit skeptical in the beginning, now I think that we can all confirm that this is an excellent, truly excellent system. There is a family doctor allocated to everyone, and the family doctor GP would refer you to a specialist. The cost of each visit is only 6 euros. Practically, lots of tests and operations are of very low cost, practically free. If you get prescription in the pharmacy, you get huge discounts. And what else is amazing, I personally find it very beneficial, that this system gives you access to both public and private clinics. Life expectancy in Cyprus is very high. Like, there is a joke in Cyprus that the men live until the age of 82 and women never die. And it's all connected to the good level of healthcare and also the general style. What else I find extremely interesting, just imagine, in Cyprus, there are only 245 people per each doctor. I can only compare it with my only visit in the UK, when it was huge. It was very difficult to get to the doctor to see you, because by sheer size of the country, the number of people per doctor is much, 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 much higher. So remember, when you move to Cyprus, you have access to the healthcare either via private doctors, or if you become eligible, and I will explain you how you can become eligible, you can become part of YESI, National Health Insurance System. Let's move to another very important part, which is education. In Cyprus, you have different routes. Everyone can have access to free education in Cyprus public schools. There are no restrictions by nationality. The only point is that the teaching will be done in Greek. So if you have children of young age, then it is quite easy. And in fact, all the children who start Greek school early, they speak perfect English, or perfect Greek, I'm sorry. At the same time, there is a variety of private schools with English curriculum. And even though they are private, so it means that you will need to pay, the cost is much lower than generally in the European Union. Just to give you an idea, because of course the prices vary depending on the school, but for primary school, we will be looking between 3,000 to 6,000 euros per year. For middle and high school, you can be looking at 5,000 to 10,000 per year for middle and high school. There is also good choice of colleges and universities. The government of Cyprus is putting it into action to make Cyprus as the center of higher education in Mediterranean. And I have to admit that they succeed. The level of the universities and colleges in Cyprus is becoming better and better. Of course, I can also mention that in many cases, people tend to send their children to go to universities and colleges abroad, because this gives a chance to see the world and to expand the point of view and to be a bit more open-minded. But for those who want to stay in Cyprus, the level is excellent. We have lots of extracurricular activities, sports, dance, art schools. In general, Cyprus is very child friendly, and I love it about it. And you will see that even in the immigration permanent residency program, you can see how family friendly and child friendly the country is. When you go around, you can see that the children are always welcome, and it's in general very, very family oriented, warm country. What I love is new things happening. It's what we call third age hobby groups and activities. Because you are never too young or never too old to study. So in Cyprus, you have access to excellent hobby groups and activities, so you can learn something new even when you don't go to school. Running costs is a little bit tricky, but still we try to prepare for you a little note, little guideline to understand, because it's all nice to talk about sunny Cyprus, about health, about education, but it's important to understand how much will it cost me to live here. And of course, like in every country, one family can spend 100 euros on utility bill, one family will be spending much, much more. But just to give you an idea, if you are um, a family of 2, 3 people, then you can look roughly about 140 euros utility bills, which would include electricity and water. Mobile phones are quite reasonable. Internet is again quite reasonable. You're looking around 25 euros, but there are lots of various packages. Petrol, we know this year it's going up and up and up, but currently it's about 1.5 euros per liter. Public transport is becoming better in Cyprus, and there are more buses. And even though everyone tend to have their own personal car, public transport is becoming more popular, and we are looking about 1 euro 50 per trip. Restaurant meals, again, this is just a guideline, this is just a little indication, but you can have a meal from as little as 13 euros or maybe even less. I will not go into details this slide. If you're interested, we would be happy to share with you this presentation. But if you want to understand the average temperatures, what to expect, we will be happy to share with you. But just to give you an idea, today it's 28 degrees and it's lovely, lovely and sunny. So we talked with you a little bit about all the benefits, all the pluses, and all the little things that Cyprus can offer. Let's look why traditionally people were interested in Cyprus. And now, because most of our listeners are not located in Cyprus now, they are abroad. So we believe that it's important to understand what could be the reason for anyone to be interested in Cyprus. And the first and the biggest part is always lifestyle. This is the part if you're thinking to relocate to Cyprus, or maybe you want to have a holiday home in the sun. This category is the lifestyle category. We have lots of interested connected with taxes. In Cyprus, the tax system is absolutely amazing, and we will talk a little bit later. This year, we also see huge interest to Cyprus permanent residency program, and of course, any purchase of property should be considered as investment. You invest in bricks and mortar, so you are saving your capital. This year, we experience lots of additional drivers of demand. And why I explain all this? Because understanding the reasons why people are looking into Cyprus A can help you see maybe some of it relates to you, and maybe some of these things will help you make the decision to come and see. Also, what is important to understand that demand shows the shows what is happening with prices. Prices always demand and supply. So this year we experience huge increased demand in for properties in Cyprus, and one reason is what we call COVID experience. And in this relation, I'm not talking about bad COVID experience. I'm actually talking about good COVID experience. Because of these unprecedented lockdown situations, we all learned new skills. We all learned that we can work online, and that in many cases you can still be employed by your company, you can still work for your company and for your employer, but you don't have to be physically present in the office. This opens the borders. This gives you additional freedom to move and to be physically in a place of better environment or better nature and ecological conditions, but still be able to earn money with your experience and with your job. And we see lots of people using this experience. We can see a huge influx of digital nomads and business people, and even employees who can do online, who can run their business or do their job online. The second reason is massive relocation because of war. Because of war, we can see lots of companies moving, lots of people running away from the horrors. And again, this Cyprus is popular destination. Financial markets volatility, the coming inflations, the situation that nobody knows what is happening with shares, with crypto, with everything. It brings attention to more conservative ways of investment. And properties is a very conservative but very good method of investment. So lots of people turn their eyes to investment into property because this is the result of the financial markets volatility. There is one reason which is more Cyprus centered, and this is pending VAT changes. If voted, then it would immediately increase the price of the purchase, and lots of people who almost made their decision. I'm sure that within our audience, there are lots of people who just started looking for the property or who just started thinking about buying something in Cyprus. But for those who already made their decision that they want to proceed, pending VAT changes is a big driver of interest. The winter is coming, which again brings lots of people thinking about more sunny destinations. In Cyprus, we also have lots of IT and digital nomad incentives, which falls under the tax category. So when I mentioned earlier about VAT, this is something that is proposed. It has not been voted by the parliament. It has not been accepted, or the official word not passed. But the suggestion is that the current VAT rate would be increased. What I mean, that VAT in Cyprus for property is 19%, but there is incentive of 14% discount for the first property in Cyprus. And currently, this incentive is spread quite generously. So it would go, there are no restrictions by the buyer's budget, by whether it's apartment or a house, and the incentive is given even for the houses for the first 200 square meters. Based on the European directives, the Cyprus Parliament is now discussing possibility of changing the VAT to make it more helpful for more vulnerable or for first buyers. So there are discussions to connect it to the size of property and also to the value of property. And it means that in many cases, you will not be able to get 14% discount on VAT, and there will be a need to pay full VAT of 19%. So let's look at taxes. I mentioned earlier that Cyprus has a very, very pleasant tax system. And I think that the biggest sign of good tax system is the number of zeros that you can see on this slide. So we have zero tax on passive income for non-domicile. Non-domicile means that you were not tax residents of Cyprus before. So if or when you're moving to Cyprus and your main income is passive income, then for the next 17 years, if you become tax resident, you will be paying zero taxes. There is zero property tax. We have no inheritance tax in Cyprus. The pension tax is quite low. And again, you will be charged Cyprus tax, provided that you would stay majority of your time in Cyprus. And for many years, we have seen lots of people from Scandinavia, from Germany, from the United Kingdom, who would spend winter and autumn months in Cyprus and not only have a better weather, but also save lots of money on taxes. The corporate tax in Cyprus is 12.5%, which is one of the lowest in Europe, which is the reason why many companies are moving their headquarters to Cyprus. There are also specific taxes for IT companies, and that would bring the tax even much, much lower. But again, if you would be interested to get detailed tax consultation, we would be able to help you find the best person to advise. So this was my first part. Please tell me, do you have any questions, or shall I move on with my presentation? Okay. Thank you. So I will go ahead. Now I will talk a little bit. So we finished the first part. Why Cyprus? And let's pretend that you found it of interest and you're considering investment in Cyprus. It is very important to understand what is happening with the market. Is it going down? Is it going up? What are the prices? Is it good time to buy? Is it not good time to buy? What is happening? Here I will go with few slides just to show you what is happening, but also we will put in the chat the link to our first analytical report that we prepared for you, where we do detailed analysis of the transactions in the residential market. So we will keep it in the chat, and also if you're interested, we can send it to you later on request. So prices is always, as I mentioned before, it's two lines, supply and demand. And these lines, depending where they go, we can understand whether the prices are going up or whether the prices are going down. On this slide, these are the registered transactions in Cyprus based on the data from Cyprus Land Registry. This land registry in Cyprus is very efficient. Every sale, whether it's a new sale or resale, transfer of title deeds, is registered. And this data is published monthly, so you can see by yourself. On this slide, we just see that we had drop, we had increase in the property transactions. 2020 the island was completely, almost the whole year, island was completely closed. So we have decrease. But in 2021, there was a very healthy growth. 2022 breaks all the records. The first half year of 2022 is the highest number of transactions, which shows that the demand is very high. Just to give you an idea, in the first half year, the growth in the number of transactions all over the island was almost 40%. In some areas, we can see the growth even higher. We will look with you at the different areas of Cyprus. And if you would like to know a little bit more, we will put in the chat again the link to our webinar that was fully dedicated to different areas of Cyprus, where we were talking about differences between Paphos, Limassol, Larnaca, Famagusta. But just to give you an idea that if we look at the general distribution of sales, you can see that Limassol is popular, Nicosia, Paphos. But if we look at the sales to foreigners, we can clearly see the trend that it is obvious that everyone wants to be by the sea. We can see that most transactions were in the area of Paphos, Limassol, Larnaca, and Famagusta and Nicosia were with the least amount of transactions. Why is it important again? This is important so you understand at which cycle you are buying. There is still possibility of growth. There are lots of things happening in Cyprus. Now, we looked at you at the benefits of Cyprus. We looked with you at the dynamics of the Cyprus real estate market. Now let's see, if you are interested, can you live in Cyprus legally? Are there any restrictions? And if we look, there are several programs, and most importantly, it's very important to separate. There are programs for non-European buyers, and there are programs for European buyers. So the next slides, you will need to check your citizenship and then pay more attention to the program that would suit you best. So for non-European residents, there are several programs. The most efficient, and it's even called the fast track program, is Cyprus Permanent Residency by Investment. This is the category when, in return to investment, you get permanent residency in a very fast manner. And Cyprus is the only EU country which offers lifelong permanent residency. What does it mean? Because there are many countries that offer residency by investment. The difference is that you do not need to change the temporary residence to permanent residency. In other countries, it is temporary residence permit that you need to extend. The investment threshold is quite low. What is very important is that this status is granted to 3 generations. It is granted to investor, spouse of investor, parents of both investor and the spouse, and to dependent children up to 25 years old. And what is also very important, when the children become older, they do not lose this status. They can keep this status. So just with one investment, you get the citizenship, the permanent residency for the whole family. There are no language exams, no medical tests, and no interview. If you invest in the permanent residency as insurance for the future or as plans for the future, then there is no need to live in Cyprus to keep this status. You will need to visit one day every 2 years. And yes, this is permanent residency. No, Mr. Stilianos, it's not a quasi-citizenship. Permanent residency allows the holder to stay in Cyprus, to live in Cyprus. It doesn't give the holder of the status right to move to other countries of Europe, and it doesn't give the access to all the four freedoms that I will talk later. So permanent residency is for the residency. Okay. Um, there are no tax consequences unless you want it, because we can see that in many cases, people want to get permanent residency to have a chance to get tax residency. And the application process or approval process is quite short. We still mention 2 months, but in reality now it is longer. Um, what are the investment criteria? It is very clearly defined that the investment criteria for this type of permanent residency is 300,000 euros. If you invest in properties, in residential properties, then there will be VAT. And there are four routes available to get this status. It's either investment in residential property, one or two. The restrictions here that it has to be a first sale, so you buy new properties, and it has to be at least 300,000. In this case, you do not need to buy or rent additional place to stay. For the other three routes, which is investment in real estate excluding housing, which means that it could be shops, offices, other type of properties, or the share company of a company registered in Cyprus, or investment in Cyprus investment funds. For this type of investments, you will need to show that you have a place of residency in Cyprus. What is very important that everything, the whole procedure can be done online until the very last stage when you need to submit your biometrics. Okay, so let me answer. So for dual citizenship, if you have citizenship in Germany, so you're already a European resident, in a way you will go with completely different route, which I show later. This program is only of interest to non-European buyers. And we have seen huge interest to this program from the UK buyers after Brexit, from Israel, from post-Soviet countries. So now we can see interest from the United States of America as well. So this program, it's all about non-European buyers. And yes, the investment criteria is 300,000 plus. There is a possibility if you live in Cyprus permanently, or if you actually physically live, then after 8 years, you can, currently this is the regulations, you can apply for citizenship based on naturalization. Cyprus allows dual citizenship. So if the question is whether the country of the first citizenship would allow or not. But as we're talking about Germany, Germany is part of the EU. So the procedure for German citizens to reside in Cyprus is much, much easier. In EU, there are four major freedoms. And one freedom is the freedom to move between the countries, and the second one is the freedom to reside in any country of the European Union. So with German passport, you can come to Cyprus without any restrictions, but you still need to do the procedure of registration. So the procedure is extremely simple, and it is called the yellow slip permit. So you just need to register with the local immigration department within 4 months of entering the Republic. When you obtain your yellow slip, you immediately and you automatically have the right to work and live in Cyprus. For non-European, you cannot be employed in Cyprus without a separate procedure by the employer. When you get your permanent residency, you can start your own business, but you cannot be employed. If you are European citizen, that you have free access and automatic access to all the jobs. What is also very important for both categories, that whether you get permanent residency by investment or you get yellow slip, you both have access to the government medical system that I described before. So again, you can register for YESC. Okay, let me answer these questions. Do non-EU spouses of EU citizens get same residence rights as EU citizens? Yes, you would. If you are officially married, then your spouse would also get yellow slip. Okay, let's talk a little bit about construction activity. Not a lot, just very, very briefly, because this is another side of our price coins. We already talked with you about the demand. Now let's talk about supply. What is happening with construction activity? And because of COVID, there was reduced construction activity. There was huge increase on construction materials during the last few years. And even though now it slows down, still the growth was quite high. I like this graph because it just shows you how drastic the cost of material, the construction materials went up. And I also like this graph because for me, it shows that the developers company construction sector is not clear what is happening. You see the number of permits, which again you can check with Cyprus Statistical Service, and which is a very good indicator of future economic activity. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So we have a case in Cyprus now where we have high demand, we still have supply, but supply, especially of new product, is less stable. We have resale activity, but again, it's a bit more unpredictable. It depends whether people want to sell now or later. So this is the situation with supply and demand. I will not go a lot in the property liquidity factor. I will only mention that here in Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty, we consider every purchase of property as investment. So even when it's for personal living, we would always advise you on the liquidity factors of the property, whether it will be possible to sell fast and sell at good price. So to give you an idea why and what affects prices and liquidity in Cyprus, I'll briefly go through the points because these are the points to consider and to understand why sometimes the same property or similar property will cost completely different amounts in different places. So with cities, we have the most expensive city would be Limassol, then followed by Paphos, Nicosia, Larnaca, and the lowest prices that we can find now at the moment would be in Ayanapa and Prodaras. The central properties and walking distance to the sea and in general walking distance to amenities would immediately have slightly higher premium for the property because, as I mentioned earlier, even though we do have public transport, but most people would still prefer to use the cars. So when you do not want to use cars, it is much easier if you have if you can walk to amenities. It is important to pay attention to the year of construction because the standards changed a lot. And I don't know how well you know Cyprus, but I'm sure that you would agree with me as well that the quality of constructions, the style, the standards improved dramatically. And sometimes you can see the property which is 15, 20 years old, and it's completely not the same standard. In most cases, it would be connected with insulation, with energy efficiency, with heating. Just to give you an idea, before we would be lucky if external walls would be 20 centimeters and they would have no thermal insulations for wall and roof. What is important and what people pay more and more attention now, again because of COVID, is in-house amenities. Does your project have pool, playground, gym, security? Property and communal areas maintenance is a very big deal, especially if you're buying apartments, and if apartments are part of the project. So it's important that the maintenance is of highest quality, and of course legal clarity of the property. I also wanted to give you just some samples of what can you buy in Cyprus. And of course, this is only examples just to give you little preview of prices. But in our company, we have more than 3,000 properties on offer. So of course, there are different prices. But just to give you an idea, like a two-bedroom apartment in Larnaca, if you want to rent it out, it would give you a very healthy return of 5%. Now the rents are very high and we do not have enough rental properties. So in fact, we have cases when people start buying more properties and as investment to rent them out immediately. And in most cases, we would rent any property. If it's a good property, we would rent it within 1-2 weeks maximum because the demand is quite high. The same apartment in Paphos would be minimum 260 or maybe even more. And again, if we look from the return potential, it will come to about 5%. I think now we'll just go through the slides where we selected just some examples of properties. As I mentioned earlier, Limassol is the most expensive city, and there is a huge demand for properties, about 300,000 that qualify for permanent residency. So there you will find one bedroom with 340,000 and up. So of course, when you decide that you want to choose the property, we would always advise you to do a little bit of homework, because as I mentioned earlier, we always consider that buying property is a very, very important decision. We're talking about lots of money. We're talking about your funds, about your savings. So it is something that has to be very pleasant. And the more you know what you want, the more pleasant the process will be. So we prepared this checklist that will help you ask yourself important questions. Why do I want to buy in Cyprus? What area in Cyprus would be the best for me? How much am I willing to invest? What is the property type that I like? And what are my additional big and small requests? If we move one step forward, what is the buying process? The buying process in Cyprus is quite simple. So the first part is understand what you want. We would always advise you to engage real estate advisor of your choice, and we will be very happy if you can consider us as real estate advisor of your choice. And this is the reason that even during this webinar or after webinar, we can offer you professional online video consultation with our expert, where we can discuss with you your needs, your requirements, what is your perception of Cyprus? Is Cyprus suitable for you? you can have a chance to talk with professionals living in Cyprus. So if this is something that you are interested in, then you can press the button on top, the red one, book your free consultation and book a consultation with us. But next step would be preparing for your trip. You need to have documents ready, viewing itinerary to be more efficient, KYC documents for the banks, source of funds documents. If you plan to apply for permanent residency, it will save you lots of time if you prepare the documents in advance. And during our consultation, we discuss with you what documents you need to prepare for the bank and for PAR. Then the next step, book your trip to Cyprus, or in many cases, now we do lots of online viewings. So to make the itinerary even shorter and to make it even more efficient, view selected properties and choose the right property. We would always advise to appoint a local registered solicitor to help you with the legal part of property purchase. Next step would be reservation deposit, and in Cyprus, reservation is quite, what is the word? Reservation would protect your rights, meaning that you will fix the price and you would know that for 1 month the property is taken off the market and the price is fixed for you. And when everything is okay and you have these 1 month to finalize, you sign the sale agreement and deposit the agreement in the land registry. And then we come to the most important and the most pleasurable part. You will be able to enjoy your house. So this was my presentation. I hope that it was interesting and useful. And now let's go to the questions. I noticed the question before about Famagusta. Famagusta area in the southern Cyprus. This is the name of the region that includes Ayanapa, Protaras, and Paralimni, which is part of the southern Cyprus. Okay, let me go here. Question from Mr. Ban. Is it common for investors in Cyprus to buy property and offer it via Airbnb? Yes, it's very common. It all depends on the reason why you're buying. So if you use it as a holiday home, so you use it for your family for, I don't know, two months, the rest of the time you can rent it either via Airbnb, or now we have quite a few of very good property management company that will do it for you. Question from Julia, what about title deeds? Title deeds in Cyprus, now we still have a backlog, but the land registry is a very efficient in registering the sales agreement. So depending on whether you buy new property or resale, we would be able to advise you whether it's enough just to register in the land registry or it's obligatory to get title deeds. And this is part of what we do. When we offer you a property, we would do our own due diligence and we will check the legal status. Okay. Question from Paul. Is it required to have a separate bank account to complete purchase? Again, these depend on the type of property. If you buy new property from developer, then for the purchase, you can send funds directly to the account of the developer, because if the property is under construction, then you don't pay in full. You only pay in stages based on completion. It is also possible to do via client's account of the lawyer. So for new properties, it's not requested. And the same with the resale property. In many cases, the purchase would be done via the specific client's account of the lawyer who would proceed. Okay. Do you need, okay, hold on, it's jumping up. So if we already purchased a property 2 years ago that cost us 110, can we apply for the slow track of the PR, and how long should it take? That's a very good question. Yes, there is another process of the immigration permit category F, and there you do not need to invest 300,000. You can have the property and proceed with the slow track of PR. This procedure takes between 12 to 18 months, and while you're waiting, you will also can get the temporary residence. But yes, absolutely, if you already have the property and fulfill all the other criteria, then you can apply. Do you need to register the property for tax purposes if you're renting by A and B? Yes. Not everybody is doing, because there was not clear legislation about Airbnb, but now it is it's much clearer. Is it automatic for PR as soon as you? No, it's not automatic. It's two different procedures. But when you get property worth 300,000, then you qualify to participate in this PR program. The process would be that you prepare documents and you submit to the immigration department together with the proof that you bought the property worth 300 plus. Can I get a mortgage to buy a property? That would depend on the country where you are from, because yes, the local banks give mortgages, but every case now is considered individually, and I would prefer to have a personal consultation to give you advice. But in general lines, because mortgage is a big thing, yes, Cyprus banks in general give mortgages. The amount would vary based on the property itself and your income, but you can consider something between 50 and 70% that you can get from the bank. Fadi, should it for the slow track, it can be resale as well. How many countries is visa free for Cyprus PR? Only one, Cyprus. Cyprus is visa free for PR. Permanent residency in Cyprus does not give you visa free access to other countries, because Cyprus is not part of Schengen. But because you have the permanent residency, you can apply for the Schengen visa here in Cyprus and Nicosia. Okay. Thank you so much for your questions, because I really like when there are questions coming. It really shows that there is interest in Cyprus, and I'm very happy to be able to assist and give you a little bit more information about Cyprus. Okay, can you explain the 90-day and 180 days for non-EU? I would assume, do you refer to the tax residency? Okay, I would assume that this question from Julia is about the tax residency. Tax residency is living in Cyprus without. No, I believe that it's about tax residency. Let's check, because if you are non-resident, or if you're coming with visa, then maybe that's the question. Then you can stay 90 days. then you have to leave Cyprus, wait until the expiry of 180 days, and then you come again. So if you do not have residency permit and you are not from the EU, if you want to spend more than 3 months within the period of every 6 months, you will need to have residence permit. And you can opt either for temporary residency, permanent residency category F, or the fast track residency that I was telling before. And we will be able, if you contact us for the consultation, we will be able to share with you presentation that explains the differences between the permits. Okay, so let me answer one more question, if any. For the fast, slow track, should we provide income or proof of funds? Okay, proof of funds you have to provide always. So for any transactions that is going through the bank, you need to provide proof of funds. And all my salespeople, all my brokers are trained, so they will be able to help you what documents you need to prepare for the property. For the income, yes, if you are going, especially with a slow track, you will need to have an account in Cyprus, and you will need to show proof that you have regular income and that you can support your family living in Cyprus. We will share with you the presentation, of course. So we will take the notes, and please also, like, if you book your consultations, we will be able to answer even in more details. Well, I already took more time from your afternoon. I want to say once again, big thank you for finding time. I want to invite you to use our expertise and take this opportunity to have a consultations. But regardless of that, I would like to welcome you to our beautiful island of Cyprus. And I hope that when you come, we will have a chance to see you. And I invite you to visit our offices either in Paphos or in Limassol or in any other city. In the meantime, thank you once again. Thank you very much for your wonderful questions. And I wish you all the best. I wish you health. I wish you peace. And I hope to see you in Cyprus soon. Thank you very much.